another episode where I bring a taste of vacation to your home. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle and I'm the founder of the TravNav, which is a luxury travel blog. I created this series where I bring a taste of vacation to your home to help remind and inspire you to travel when you feel the time is right. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about travel tips. And our first travel tip I have for you is do your research. And I say this because in the time right now, we can't just get on a plane and go anywhere we want like we used to. Because of COVID, we have a lot of restrictions. So for instance, as US residents and citizens, I can't go to anywhere I want in Europe. But I did look, and as of this morning, there are a lot of places that US citizens can travel internationally, which is great news. You can travel to the Caribbean, you can go to the Bahamas, Bora Bora, Costa Rica, Brazil, the Maldives, you can even go to Croatia. So there are a lot of international destinations that you can travel to. But the question is, even though that the borders are open, can you actually get there? Now, some of these destinations are far away and are not accessible via direct flight. So for instance, if you wanted to go to the Maldives, there are no direct flights, which means that you'll have a layover. And one of the common places for a layover is Hong Kong. So you have to check to make sure that you can actually fly through Hong Kong in order to get to the Maldives. So it's important to do your research to make sure you know what's available and also where you can actually go. And then the next requirement is for doing your research is making sure you understand what the COVID restrictions are. So are you going to need a COVID test before you show up for your flight? Are you going to need a COVID test before you land? In some countries, the answer is yes. In some countries like Brazil, the answer is no. So it just depends on where you're going. So it's really important that you do your research. If you're staying domestically in the United States, things are a little bit different. You can get on a flight and go pretty much anywhere you want. Hawaii has now opened its borders back up, which is terrific. And if you want to go to Hawaii, all you have to do is present a COVID test. You have to check the requirements, how many hours in advance you've had to have that test done and show a negative result before you get to Hawaii. So make sure you do your research. The second tip I have for you is to book refundable travel. Things are changing so much these days, and if you're looking to book a trip now to travel later, you want the flexibility to be able to cancel your trip in case something happens. So for instance, let's say that you book a hotel, but you didn't book a refundable hotel, then there's a chance that in 6-9 months when you actually go to travel, that there might be an issue and you're stuck paying those fees. So you want to make sure you book a refundable hotel. For airlines, you also want to make sure you book a refundable ticket, which are often a lot more expensive. So if you're not willing to fork over the cash for a refundable ticket and you buy a non-refundable ticket, book one in which you can still use the credit for a ticket if you decide to change it without the change fee. The change fees can be rather large, so make sure your ticket does not carry with it a change fee penalty. Another thing that you can do, that you're going to want to do as your third tip, is know your limits. And I say this because everyone is different. Everyone has a different understanding and a different decision process as to when they think it's okay to travel, when they feel most comfortable traveling. You want to know where you're going so you know what you're going to feel the most comfortable with. So for instance, if you are coming to Los Angeles, there's probably more restrictions than if you're going to, let's say, somewhere in Florida. My husband was recently in Florida, and in Palm Beach, you don't have to wear a face covering when you are walking around on the street. Whereas in Los Angeles, particularly in Manhattan Beach, where I am right now, if you are walking around on the street, you are supposed to be wearing a face covering. So if you're not going to be comfortable walking around Palm Beach without a face covering and all the people around you not wearing them, that's something that you should know before you go ahead and book your trips. You want to know your limits. You want to know what you are going to be most comfortable with, because the worst thing would be to get to a destination and then not be comfortable and have a miserable time. So the next suggestion and tip I have for you is to plan ahead. And this is important because you want to make sure that if you're going on vacation that you get to do the things you really want to do. I was recently in La Jolla and I wanted to go sea kayaking. and I was really excited about it, except for when we got there, the swell was too big, so we couldn't go into the sea caves, which is the whole purpose for the sea kayaking. But there was an opportunity to visit one of the sea caves by land, but I didn't book a ticket in advance because I assumed that I'd be going kayaking and entering the sea cave that way. So by the time I went to book my ticket, it was totally sold out, so I missed out on that experience. So I don't want that to happen to you. So if there's things that you want to do, you should make sure that you plan ahead. The next tip I have for you is you want to make sure you are being safe. So that means checking the safety protocols, whether it's a hotel, an airline, an Airbnb, wherever you're staying, and making sure you're comfortable with what those safety protocols are. So like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman says, although in a very different context, I'm a safety girl, so you want to make sure that you stay safe and you take those precautions. So what I've been doing when I travel is I use a disposable mask. I know it's not environmentally friendly, but it's much easier than having to worry about whether or not my mask is clean, whether or not I have an opportunity to wash my mask before I use it. I also carry a little pouch with me, like a little makeup kit, that instead of having makeup, it has hand sanitizer. It would have like an extra mask, a pair of gloves, maybe an alcohol wipe, in case, just in case I need it. All those things just make me feel much more comfortable, and it's a lot easier just to have all that stuff on the ready when you're traveling. So don't forget to be safe when you're traveling. The next tip I have for you is to consider using a travel agent, especially if you're traveling internationally. International travel can be quite expensive, and you want to make sure that you are thinking through everything you need to think about before you get on your flight. Travel agent will help you with that. What a travel agent is also great at helping you with is the back end. If something happens and you need support, if you book a trip by yourself, it's all on you. You don't have anyone to go to help you figure things out. So if you get stuck somewhere, let's say there's an issue because of COVID and you're having difficulty coming back, there was a cancellation problem, someone didn't show up, all of those things, you can contact your travel agent and they'll help you work through all of those issues. And so it's important to have them in your corner and to have someone helping you, in the event something goes wrong. Hopefully nothing does, but you never know. It's travel and things are unexpected. Along the same lines, my next tip for you is trip insurance. Again, if you're traveling internationally, trip insurance is a great thing to have. And there's different kinds of trip insurance. You can get trip insurance for a particular trip. You can get it for a year. You can get it for cancel for any reason. There's trip insurance for that's just medical related. And there's trip insurance for COVID. So you want to check which type of insurance is best for you. What you also want to do is make sure you read the exclusions, because the last thing you want is an expensive policy that has exclusions that are things that you would anticipate the insurance would cover. So make sure you read the fine print for your trip insurance. And the last thing I would say for your tip is to pack your patience. It's a very tense time right now in the United States. People are a little bit on edge. The time I'm filming this, the election results are not finalized. And so it's important to pack your patience, to remember to take a step back, to take a deep breath. People might be doing something that just annoy the ever-living daylights out of you, but they're just in their own world, which, yes, I understand can be rude for them not paying attention to what's going on around them, but give people a little bit of slack right now. Be kind, and those are all of my travel tips for you for the time being. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Make sure to like the video, and you can check out the other videos I have. And also visit my travel blog at thetravnav.com, and that's where I write detailed and comprehensive blog posts about places to travel and different things to do and tips and tricks for travel. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon.